Thousand Autumns, is a Meng Xi Shi novel. This is an audiobook made by fans for other fans. Disclaimer. The main couple of the story is made up of two men. If you don't like it, don't listen. Thank you. Remember, subscribe and click the bell to stay updated on all the new releases. Enjoy. Chapter 90. Shen Qiao is a good person, so he hesitated for a while before answering yes and no before shaking his head. However, this moment was enough for Yan Wushi to see the real answer. He said, "Shen Dao, I have a problem here. Please enlighten me." Shen Qiao answered, "Speak, please." Shen Qiao had never heard him speak in such a serious tone. It was almost blinded for a moment. Yan Wushi asked, "Some Buddhist monks don't lie. Do Dao people have similar teachings?" Shen Qiao did not know what he meant, and thought about it seriously. It is not as severely constrained as Buddhism, but no matter what kind of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, or ordinary people, honest words should be the virtue of virtuous people, he said. Yan Wushi wondered. Then why are you obviously worried about this seed, but you still have to shake your head to deny it? Does this not violate your creed? Mr. Shen Dao, you have been a long time since you joined Taoism, but you have learned to be more and more sly. If you continue this way, aren't you afraid that you will get started to cheat even if you are not cheated? He played tricks on Shen Qiao, but the other party kept silent. Shen Qiao knew that he had been ridiculed, so he changed to talk about the business. Shen Qiao said, "During the Zhou dynasty, Yuan Xian was the best man to inherit Yuan Zhang's mantle. The emperor, the Zhou dynasty will certainly be able to flourish for another 20 years, but unfortunately, Yuan Zhang was blinded and he did not listen to the advice. He had to pass the throne to his son, so there is today's situation." Shen Qiao said, "Fathers and sons, sons and grandsons, people with sons and daughters will inevitably fall into a cycle. Looking at the history books, those emperors with sons are brothers, no matter how virtuous. I am afraid they had not considered it." Yan Wushi said, "I thought Yuan Xian would be an exception, but now it seems he overestimated him. Since he refused to pass the throne to Yuan Xian did not want to usurp the throne. It makes sense, but the Yuan clan will also stop there. After Yuan's death, the Zhou dynasty will inevitably flourish." Shen Qiao nodded. "In this way, you must have anticipated today's situation and be prepared in advance. No wonder when I went to the Chang'an side house, there were just empty buildings already." He didn't mind that Yan Wushi had reserved his own hands, but he was grateful for not causing more casualties. "Yan Wushi, because Bian Yan Mi has accepted my order and retreated early, what was left to Yuan and Xueting are all abandoned, not to mention the industries. You can leave Chang'an safely and be free from harassment all the way." That is why he contacted the old central and helped each other secretly. Yuan Zhang wanted to destroy Yuan Xian's full door. Yuan Song was a fish that missed the net, so Shen Qiao took him to the most dangerous journey from Chang'an. The farther away from Chang'an, the more secure he was, because Yuan Zhang might have felt they'd been fished into the sea and it's hard to chase it back. Shen Qiao was not slow-witted. After a moment of groaning, Yan Wushi heard the voice outside the string. He said, "Don't you like Yuan's? Are you already looking for a new master of Zhongshan?" Yan Wushi laughed and said, "Why don't you guess whether the seat will have a position?" Shen Qiao shook his head, and said, "You won't." Shen Qiao was so decisive, so Yan Wushi couldn't help but have an interest to test him. Why not? Shen Qiao said that although you are moody and arrogant, if you want to be an emperor, you should have merged the three of demonic sects to penetrate the northern Zhou dynasty, and then take advantage of the opportunity to steal the emperor's power. But you were still besieged by Xueteng? It is clear that things are done by preference, not even the throne. However, if these words were spoken, he was afraid that he would be teased by the other side. So, Shen Qiao casually responded, just a guess. There were rare times when he could make the other person eat the bait. When he looked dumb, Shen Qiao not only smiles, but also very happy. The smile Yan Wushi looked in his eyes was silent, and the smile on the corner of his mouth slowly disappeared. This man was too soft-hearted, and always remembers his grace and resentment. If he finds that he is not Yan Wushi, but Sang Jingxin and others, at the beginning of the half-step, what will happen to this person? Suddenly Yan Wushi thought like that. Yan Wushi did not believe in good human nature. He's holding on to the purpose of playing with people's hearts, and constantly trying to dig out the darkest part of Shen Qiao's disposition. But, Shen Qiao has never changed. It seems that even if Yan Wushi imposes many difficulties on Shen Qiao, this person will not be crushed. No, there were still some changes. At least, he became more aware, and adept at grasping the situation. He was more aware of advances and retreats. In other words, in the past, for Shen Qiao, it was just like a sharpening knife. Instead, the stone that was originally hidden out of sheath was cut off, so that sheath bloomed and became more and more brilliant. In fact, it is Shen Qiao's heart. Tried and tested, the heart is the same as before. Seeing the other person stop, Shen Qiao thought and wondered. He asked, "What?" "Nothing," Yan Wushi said, "I just suddenly figured out a problem." Shen Qiao repeated, "Huh?" Yan Wushi laughed and said nothing. Previously, he hated the influence of Xieling and felt that it was not his true intention. He wanted to suppress the strange feeling several times. He also thought that as long as the flaw in the magic heart was repaired, the feeling would disappear with it. However, everything recovered with the other's smile. He didn't want to admit that he didn't take the world into his eyes, but this day he would put a name in his heart. Human beings have a lot of sins: betrayal, ungratefulness, and abandonment of their wives. In order to be rich and wealthy, Yan Wushi had seen a lot and doesn't care. Because he is a selfish and indifferent person, there was nothing to do or not want to see. However, Yan Wushi had to admit that there was only one Shen Qiao who could change him. Although the world is big, there is only one Shen Qiao. Yan Wushi said, "I suddenly remembered something interesting. Would you like to listen?" Shen Qiao answered, "No." Yan Wushi turned a deaf and said, "In the past, someone found a stone in a pile of gold and silver jewelry." Shen Qiao drew his mouth. "Didn't I say I didn't want to listen?" Yan Wushi continued, but it was difficult for him to believe that it is just an ordinary stone. He thinks that it was stacked with a house full of gold and silver, so it was still a treasure, so he brought it with him. He also found many people tried to identify and polish it. Without exception, everyone said to him, "There is no mistake, this is just an ordinary stone." Guess what happened in the end? Shen Qiao looked blank inexplicably. Finally, he finally believed that this is indeed a worthless stone, but in this person's eyes, compared to the room full of gold and silver treasures, even if it's just a stone, it doesn't matter. Why does this story sound so strange? It really is difficult to hear a normal story from a less normal population. He couldn't help but said, "It's hard to buy a lot of gold, and some people don't save money, but he just finds objects that are not worth mentioning in the eyes of others. In my opinion, This person liked the stone from the beginning more than other gold and silver jewelry. It's just that he's stubbornly prejudiced and doesn't admit it. Yan Wushi laughed. Yes, you're right. It's hard to buy a good heart. The last sentence was meaningful. Shen Qiao asked, but why did the Lord Yan suddenly tell the story, and what does this have to do with Yuan Song? Yan Wushi answered, there is no relation. I'm just idle to make you play. He really regretted it. He shouldn't let the other person talk to himself, why should he take it as a good word? The time spent on talking was enough for the two to walk from the Huang family to the inn. In the middle of the night, the inn's door did not open. Shen Qiao returned to the house through the original window. He saw that Yuan Song was still in a sweet dream, and he was relieved. Yan Wushi followed, seeing Yuan Song on the bed, can't help but snort softly. I haven't seen this before, so you got good seed in martial arts. He doesn't need to mention the high point of what he saw. It is an incredible praise to be able to get this person to say good seed. Shen Qiao laughed. Yes, he is a good seed. If he can concentrate on martial arts, his future achievements will certainly not be bad. Yan Wushi ordered Yuan Song's sleeping ache appointment to make the other person fall into a deeper dreamland, so he would not be awakened by the words of the two. Yun Fui and Wang's family secretly associate with this matter, you know. You don't need to do much, said Yan Wushi. Shen Qiao replied, the Huang family has been in contact with the Tuzhe people. In this way, the Six Harmonies Association has also been in touch with the Tuzhe people, but since Douyinshan was willing to cooperate with Duan Vinyan against you at that time, they must have been dealing with each other, haven't they? Yan Wushi, this is not a one-touch gesture. The Six Harmonies Association has more than half of the area around water and land. Darts are used for boating, and the south has many waterways. Therefore, the Six Harmonies Association has been relatively close to Chenggong. Apart from matters of interest, Douyinshan would not cooperate with Tuzhe people. Shen Qiao understood. Do you mean, Yun Fui is in conflict with Douyinshan? Asked Shen Qiao. Yan Wushi said, since Yun Fui lost the handbook of Zuyang Ce at Beyond Clouds Monastery, Douyinshan has been dissatisfied with her. Yun Fui has noticed that he is not willing to be overhead. People have no less fighting skills in the Six Harmonies Association. After all, Yun Fui is a deputy, and there are not many people who are willing to follow her, so she naturally wants to pull foreign help. Shen Qiao responded, so, she found the Huang family and wanted the Huang family to help her seize some powers, and she must have promised cooperation to the Tuzhe people through the Huang family as well. Yes, I also have resentment with Douyinshan. I can just sit in the mountains and watch the tiger fight. Let Yun Fui do what she wants even if she wants to be the master. Even if the Turks are secretly helping her, they must also eliminate those who are loyal to Douyinshan. The person from Yinshan's opposition will wait for her to take the position of lord, and the Six Harmonies Association will inevitably have a situation of being out of contact and talents. At that time, I will push my force again. I believe that most of people are willing to take the force to the Six Harmonies Association. Isn't it a good idea to split up and collapse the opponent without a single soldier? Yan Wushi explained. Shen Qiao replied, but, Tuzhe people can also choose to kick off Yun Fui after the completion of the incident, and take the wealth accumulated by the Six Harmonies Association over the years as their own. Yan Wushi said, yes, it depends on the respective means at that time. Then, Shen Qiao was a little helpless. Since Guang Lingsan also knows that you have no memory loss, why do you play in front of him during the day? Asked him. Yan Wushi said slowly, first, This seat does not want Guan Lingxin to know that you and I are so close. This is for your safety. You should have thanked this seed. Shen Qiao said in his heart, what relationship do you and I have? But in the end he still cooperated. Thank you, Lord Master, for your love. Then he asked, and the second one is? Yan Wushi continued, second, of course, to see you stunned and unbelievable. Isn't it interesting? End of the chapter. Stay tuned for more BL.